What is up, everybody? I am Dylan Clark, and in my hands I'm holding what I consider to be the most underrated Martin guitar that I have ever played. It is the Martin Custom Shop 1937 Authentic D-28. It's a mouthful, I know, but throughout this video I'm going to explain why I think it's underrated and that there's a good chance you've never seen one of these before. I'll explain exactly the specs of it. We'll go over all that from head to tail here, and I'll play it a little bit. I'll give you a sound test at the end, of course, so you can see how it sounds yourself, and I'm just going to, in general, explain why I love this guitar so much. Now, before I do, I have to ask, please subscribe to the channel if you're new here. It greatly helps, and the support so far has been amazing on the channel. Really appreciate all that. If you want to put a like on the video, if you enjoy it, that would help as well. As always, you know, this is a two-way conversation here, so make sure you're putting comments down below as far as what you think about how the guitar sounds or if you've seen one before, and that conversation is always greatly appreciated. All right, so what is the Martin Custom Shop 1937 Authentic D-28? Well, if you're familiar with the Authentic series, that's a good place to start when explaining this guitar. But the big difference is that this guitar is only available to Martin expert dealers. So there's only, I believe, like 15 of those in North America that can offer this guitar and that Martin is getting this guitar to. So that's probably why you've never heard of it. That's why it's pretty rare to see right now. And I think a lot of people just don't even know that this guitar exists. I think most big Martin fans know that the Authentic series exists. The 1937 Authentic D-28 has been out for a while, but this is kind of a spin on that. It's very similar in a lot of ways, and I'll go through, but there are a few key differences that I am really drawn to this, even over the Authentic series. So, first of all, let's get started here, all right? It's a solid Adirondack spruce top, all right? It's also Adirondack spruce bracing, and the bracing pattern is what they call the 1937 Authentic bracing pattern, okay? So there's a lot of detail into that. You know, if you're familiar with that Authentic series, the Authentic series is their effort at reproducing what makes those pre-war Martins so special. Now, this top is actually sanded 0.005 of an inch thinner than a normal D-28 top would be. And that, in my opinion, makes it a little bit more responsive. I think it does come through when you play it, you can hear it. But really, I mean, what makes this guitar special is a combination of a lot of things. So we'll keep moving on here as far as the specs of guitar. The first difference that I want to point out while we're on the top, when you compare this to a normal 1937 Authentic D-28, is that the top is not a VTS top, okay? That's the vintage tone system. That's what Martin does to the Modern Deluxe series, like what that guitar is, that's a VTS top, as well as the Authentic series. They bake them, it's torrefied to make it try to sound vintage, to make the guitar try to sound older than what it really is. So this is a non-VTS top, that's a key difference there. Also, another difference is that this guitar has East Indian rosewood back and sides. On the previous Authentic series, it was Madagascar. Now they're doing Guatemalan. That started new this year. So different wood on the sides. All that comes together to make this guitar a little bit cheaper than a typical 1937 Authentic was. Another difference is that this guitar actually has a truss rod, and I love that, okay? The true 1937 Authentics have no truss rod, and that to me always scared me, okay? You're paying a lot for these guitars, and you know, I live somewhere where there's 4 seasons, and at least once a year, I'm wanting to make an adjustment on that truss rod to get that action where I want it, with the changing of the humidity and stuff like that. And to pay all that money for an Authentic that never had a truss rod just scared me. That's what stopped me from getting one. So the fact that they now make these guitars with the Authentic specs, for the most part, with an adjustable truss rod, really, it sealed the deal for me. I just had to have it. While we're talking about the neck, this is what they call the 1937 Authentic neck, and it is thick, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When you're playing it up here, not a big deal, but as you start to go down the neck, It is very thick. If you're somebody who wants to shred on a guitar, this probably isn't the one for you. I'll just be 100% honest. If you want to play down here a lot, you better be ready to deal with a thick neck. But that's not really where this guitar shines for me. Where this guitar really jumps out to me is that it is the best cowboy chord guitar that I've ever played. And when we go into the sound test, you're going to hear me play a lot of those open chords. I don't think there's a guitar that I've ever played that's better at that has a better sound, that is as defined and as loud as what this one is for that type of playing. And I think the neck works just fine for that. But even when you start getting into bar chords like below this point, it starts getting a lot to deal with, okay? You better have some strong and bigger hands to be able to deal with this neck. So keep that in mind. As far as the tuners, Waverly open tuners, ebony fingerboard and bridge, bone nut and saddle. And the finish is unique too. It's what they call a vintage low gloss finish. Again, comparing it to a D-28 Modern Deluxe or even a D-28 Standard, it's not as glimmery, as shiny. It looks a little bit older, I guess you could say, with the vintage low gloss finish. Imagine that. So a little bit different there. And obviously, as you can tell, the white of this top is a lot whiter, a lot paler than what the VTS and that finish is on that D-28 Modern Deluxe. Now, one big thing to keep in mind with this guitar, it is 100% built in the custom shop. I recently toured the Martin factory and it gave me a new appreciation for all Martins, but especially the custom shop, because the custom shop guitars all stay within that custom shop area, and it's a special process they go through. It's not the assembly line that the rest of the guitars go through. I don't mean to take away from other Martin guitars by saying that, but it is kind of cool when you get a custom shop guitar. It's a special group of workers that are trained at that stuff and are working on it. Now, of course, there are no electronics available on this. So again, if that's something that's important to you, you'll have to either do your own or go to a different model, like again, the D-28 Modern Deluxe there. So keep that in mind. But if you're looking for this authentic 1937 sound, I doubt that's something that you're expecting in your guitar. So my story with this guitar is I've owned the D-28 Modern Deluxe there for a couple years. My favorite guitar shop is lucky enough to be a Martin expert dealer, Empire Music in Pittsburgh. And I saw they had a bunch of these, which by the way, they make them in sunburst and a stage one artifacting finish as well that looks a little bit more aged. If you want the sunburst or the other, I like to age my own guitars, so that's why I just got the natural finish here. But yeah, Empire Music is a Martin expert dealer. They had a bunch of these, and whenever I was taking one of my guitars in to get it set up, I was like, let me play that one. I played it, and I was just blown away at how good it sounds. And gave it a couple months and was like, finally like, okay, I need to get one of those guitars. It fills a different spot for me than what my Modern Deluxe is. My Modern Deluxe I can plug in and play. With the Modern Deluxe, the neck being thinner allows me a lot more versatility in playing up here. But for the songs that are my open chords up here, this is my guitar that I will pick up every single time to play that. It just sounds so great. And I love that because that's really a lot of the songs that I play right now. So with that said, let's get into a sound test now, and we'll wrap the video up with that. I'm gonna play through a couple songs here, mostly those open chords that I've been talking about that really let this guitar shine. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.